Welcome to another thrilling episode of Quick Recaps. Get ready to unlock the gruesome secrets of Saw X, a movie that pushes the boundaries of horror and suspense. This cinematic nightmare will keep you at the edge of your seat. Let's begin. We start out in a gritty, dimly lit hospital. The movie opens with John Kramer undergoing an MRI scan. He stared at the daunting machine, anxiety brewing within him. After the scan, a solemn doctor informed him of his grim fate. Advanced brain cancer had invaded his mind, leaving him with only months to live. While confined in the sterile hospital room, John's gaze fell upon a custodian attempting to pilfer a vulnerable patient's belongings. The custodian's avaricious act did not go unnoticed by John. The scene shifted, revealing the custodian waking up in a horrifying predicament. His hand was ensnared in a mechanical contraption, and 2 vacuum tubes were cruelly attached to his eyes. With 60 seconds on the clock, he had to turn a dial, initiating the contraption. It would systematically break all 5 fingers on his right hand, one by one. Failing to do so would result in the vacuum tubes mercilessly sucking his eyes out. Panic and dread overtook him, and as the timer ran out, he had only managed to break 3 fingers. The nightmarish sequence, however, was unveiled as nothing more than a fragment of John's vivid imagination. The custodian, noticing John's watchful eyes, remorsefully returned the patient's belongings. Months passed, leaving John despondent and clinging to the remaining threads of his life. At a support group meeting for cancer patients, he encountered Henry Kessler, who professed to be fighting his own terminal illness with unwavering determination. 4 months elapsed, and a despairing John found himself in a dimly lit coffee shop. He was on the verge of signing his last will and testament, when he was startled by the presence of a seemingly rejuvenated Henry. Henry claimed to have been miraculously cured through an experimental cancer treatment offered by Dr. Finn Peterson, a Norwegian doctor. John's curiosity led him to the website of Dr. Cecilia Peterson, Dr. Finn's daughter, who continued her father's work. She asserted that corrupt pharmaceutical companies were relentlessly pursuing her father's research, which forced her to carry out clandestine clinical trials of the treatment. Intrigued and desperate, John contacted Cecilia, who directed him to her makeshift clinic in Mexico City, where surgery awaited him in 2 weeks' time. Venturing to Mexico City, John embarked on a journey filled with hope. He was welcomed by a friendly taxi driver named Diego, who introduced him to the facility, a hidden refuge just outside the city limits. There he met Gabriella, who claimed to have been cured by Cecilia's treatment. The medical team, including Cecilia and her colleagues, warmly welcomed John. As John was led into the operating room, he glimpsed a young boy named Carlos playing with a soccer ball outside the facility. Before undergoing surgery, he spoke with Parker Sears, who had recently undergone a similar operation. The surgery went ahead as planned, and John awoke with Cecilia assuring him of its success. Believing himself to be free from cancer, he even fixed Carlos' bicycle and purchased a bottle of tequila as a gift for Gabriella. However, upon returning to the facility with the gift, John was met with a disheveled, abandoned operating theater. He realized that his surgery was a ruse, and his brain tumor remained intact. The experimental treatment had been an elaborate scam. John's revelation was followed by a series of abductions. Diego, the deceitful taxi driver, was taken by John and thrust into a gruesome test. He had 2 pipe bombs attached to his arms, and he needed to cut into his own flesh with scalpels to disarm the explosives. Diego managed to survive, divulging information about the other perpetrators behind the scam. Meanwhile, Mateo, the anesthesiologist, was revealed to be a drug dealer, selling drugs to a desperate Gabriella before getting abducted by an assailant wearing a pig mask. Valentina, the nurse, also fell victim to an assailant after an assault by a stranger in her car. The same mysterious figure then kidnapped Gabriella from a nightclub bathroom, followed by Cecilia from her home as she attempted to escape. Unmasking herself, the kidnapper turned out to be Amanda Young, who had been John's apprentice. Together, Amanda and John had orchestrated the abductions. The victims, Valentina, Cecilia, Mateo, and Gabriella, awoke in the abandoned factory, subjected to a series of deadly tests orchestrated by John and Amanda. Valentina faced the first challenge, tasked with amputating her own leg with a Geely saw and extracting bone marrow. She managed to sever her leg, but failed to extract the marrow in time, resulting in a decapitation by a wire. Cecilia, who had access to a phone just out of reach, used Valentina's intestines as a makeshift rope to make a distress call, only to be electrocuted by Amanda. Matteo followed, confronted with the horrifying task of cutting into his own skull and removing cerebral tissue to deactivate his trap. Despite successfully excising a piece of brain matter, the enzyme did not dissolve it in time, leading to his demise. During these nightmarish tests, Parker returned to the compound, demanding his money back after realizing he'd been duped. He encountered John and Amanda, who chained him to a chair and forced him to witness the ongoing horrors. Gabriella faced a gruesome challenge of her own, suspended from shackles and positioned before an X-ray machine that threatened to burn her flesh. In a desperate bid for freedom, she used a sledgehammer to break her own wrist and ankle, sustaining grievous injuries but surviving. However, Amanda, distraught by the situation, was unable to carry out her role and was replaced by Parker, who ultimately betrayed them all. Cecilia disclosed the truth. Parker had been part of the scam from the beginning. With a chilling snap, Gabriella's neck was broken, sealing her fate. Cecilia and Parker forced John into a nightmarish trap, chaining him in the same position where Cecilia had once been. Before repeating the same with Amanda, Cecilia heard Carlos playing with his soccer ball outside the facility. She decided to bring him inside, where he was chained opposite John, making John witness an innocent soul meet a gruesome end. As the trap activated, a seesaw-like contraption subjected John and Carlos to a relentless waterboarding with blood. In a selfless act, John endured the torment to ensure Carlos's safety. Meanwhile, Parker and Cecilia attempted to escape with the money they'd fraudulently obtained. However, picking up a bag of money triggers a deadly tripwire, bringing an end to the blood-soaked ordeal. As Amanda, Carlos, and John emerged from the building, the sun was setting on their harrowing journey. In a mid-credits scene, John, along with his other apprentice detective Mark Hoffman, oversaw another test. A grim fate awaited Henry in a disused industrial bathroom, reminiscent of the horrors in the Saw series. That's a wrap for today's Quick Recaps episode, where we delved into the terrifying world of Saw X. We hope you enjoyed this whirlwind journey through the darkest corners of horror cinema. If you want more quick recaps and thrilling insights into your favorite movies, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our next thrilling adventure.